Chicago Sunday against the Texans, but most likely will miss that game and could miss 2 to 3 weeks, Brew. Texans are now favored in Baltimore. Do you think the Ravens can stay afloat?
I'm just hoping if he's out, he's back for the Chicago game in Week 7. Because they have the 2 games, Houston, the Rams, that he may miss. Then they've got the bye. So he could be back.
And I think he maybe could be back for the Rams game, bro.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying if it's 2 to 3 weeks, he gets the bye, you get extra rest. Maybe you can come back 100% theoretically. But Houston, I feel, is the game to get. If you play both of those without Lamar, I would assume if Lamar's not playing against the Rams, that the Rams are going to have a heyday with that defense. Houston, though, this is where we really find out what the Ravens' defense is. I definitely don't think it's the worst in the league. I know it is statistically, but they have played Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City, 3 top teams, 3 top quarterbacks. The Browns are not good offensively, but they held the Browns down offensively. So if Houston runs up 27 or more points, then that just means, their defense is just flat out bad, and then they're in trouble. But I think Houston, they could be a winnable game. I know Houston's defense is really tough, but I expect to see Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right, and hopefully Cooper Rush can make a few nice passes. So at best, Coach, I think 2-4, assuming they miss these 2 games without Lamar. But I think they're still very much alive for the playoffs, regardless, as long as he's back for the Bears game.
Yeah, Derrick Henry easily could have been in the MVP discussion last season with what he did. And to me, that's what the next 2 games is. I would tell everybody, eat your Wheaties and strap up, because it's going to be all Derrick Henry. Look at the guys. They got Mark Andrews at 250, Isaiah Likely 245, and then you got Charlie Kohler, the 3rd tight end, 6'6", 265. So I'm going 3 tight ends. Patrick Ricard, the fullback, 6'3", 300 pounds, in front of Derrick Henry, 6'3", 252. And we're just going to play 9-on-7 and slow the game down and see how much Derrick Henry you can eat through 4 quarters and keep the defense off the field. Let's just see what happens.
I'm with it.
He's averaged over.
I actually love that.
I'm getting big and noisy, and it's Derrick Henry's had the fumbling problem. Don't worry about it. You're going to make it right over the next 2 weeks.
The Texans' defense has been elite.
The defense is good.
Yeah,
great. Let's see if they're elite and tough.
Yeah, but
we're going to get big and angry, and we're going to keep our defense off the field, and we're going to see how many bruises you want to go home with.
So, and the Texans' defense is particularly elite against the pass,
right?
Because they have a great secondary and they have a great pass rush. Now,
they won't have to worry about rushing the passer.
Right. I also wonder that the headhunter safety they have I'll show you. The guy who got suspended last year, he basically punched Cam Ward in the face this week.
Yep.
Didn't get flagged for it. The only reason I bring it up is I wouldn't be shocked, given his history, if he's suspended. And that, you know what I mean?
You think?
I think he could be.
Isn't there a difference, like open hand versus
no?
closed
But this
hand?
was. But the thing is, this wasn't like post-play thing. It was what he's done in the past, which is a violent during the play. But regardless, the point is, I do think I'm interested in how much resistance the Ravens defense can put up, because while I agree with Brew theoretically that I don't think this Ravens team is going to finish the year as the worst or second worst defense in football, I do think the team that they are trotting out there Sunday might be the worst defense in football, because you're without all the guys you didn't have in the Chiefs game, plus the 3 guys you lost during the Chiefs game. You know what I mean? So you will be without 7 of your starters to start that football game. Now, all those guys except for Matabike, they expect back at some point. The Texans' offense for 15 quarters this year was one of the worst offenses in football. The 4th quarter against Tennessee got it going. But where I want to go back to you, Coach, is do you think if we're trying to go glass half full on a sucky situation, which is one of the premier faces of the league missing time, that what if they do what you said and all of a sudden the defense, even undermanned, looks a little better, and Derrick Henry gets back to the yards per carry he had last year? Do you think that could influence Monken, who it seems like John Harbaugh is not happy with? We were going to talk about this before the Lamar injury. He had a very pointed press conference talking about play calls and things like that. That when Lamar comes back, we're going to have more of this type of game plan, even though we have the dynamic Lamar Jackson at quarterback?
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't lean into this, because when a team's, first of all, dealing with Lamar is hard enough. Dealing with Lamar as a runner is extremely hard, and it simplifies defense. When you've got to deal with a guy like Derrick Henry, in addition to Lamar Jackson, it opens so many things in the passing game, because you've got to commit 8 in the box. You've got to have run-stopping defenses, and everything else should become that much more dynamic. And we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles formula for winning. Baltimore has had a very consistent and successful formula for winning as well. And as much as they want to change the narrative to Lamar Jackson is this dynamic, generational passer, don't try to justify a narrative. Just do the things that he does really well, and the numbers will come. It's sometimes guys who are looking for a head coaching job, and you don't get a lot of head coaching jobs because you run the ball well. You get a head coaching job because you throw the ball well.
If you owned a team,
oh yeah, you definitely.
You get a head coaching job for running the ball.
O-line coach would be the highest paid guy.
He's averaging over like 5.5 yards a carry this year.
It's been
it's
been lack of touches, and I don't want to say I don't care about the fumbles, but I find the fumbles to be so. Not random, but it's not gonna. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't think
I would set the. If you set the over/under at fumbles for Derrick Henry the rest of the season at 1.5, I would take the under. You know what I mean? I bet he had 0 or 1 fumble the rest of the way. That is not a reason not to give him the ball.
Yep.
2 undefeated teams left in the league. The 4-0 Bills host the frisky Patriots. 4-0 Eagles host the Broncos. Here's how their team ranks look. Points, the Bills are second, the Eagles are 7th. Total yards.
The Eagles are 30th in yards?
Well, yeah.
They're 30th in their yards. They're 22nd in opponents' yards. They've played a brutal schedule. They're undefeated.
Because Jalen Hurts is a winner. That's the only. There's nothing else to do. Sirianni is a great coach.
And their special team's been great.
Yeah.
Special teams.
Sirianni can coach.
And Sirianni.
Yeah, no, he's done it. You got to give credit. Yeah.
Which undefeated team do you trust more here, Brew?
The Eagles.
Really?
Yes. You showed those numbers. The Eagles have faced 3 Super Bowl contenders and beaten them, okay? And they still, have the undefeated record. The Bills have faced, outside of Baltimore, the Jets, Miami, and New Orleans. And they are not in the top 10 in any, scoring defense or total defense. So these last 2 weeks, they haven't looked great. Now, maybe they're playing down to the competition, whatever, but they haven't looked great. Roster-wise, also, Philadelphia's roster is, I believe, definitely better. And so I have more faith. I think Philadelphia's looked better. They've been tested more. They've passed more tests, and their roster is flat out better than Buffalo's. Yeah. And they got an easier path to the Super Bowl because they don't have to play the Chiefs.
And the thing you struggle with Buffalo is, you're right, their combined record of their opponents is 2-14. So that's not impressive, where the Eagles' combined record is 9-6-1. And also Buffalo's ability to stop the run is a big problem. I think they're 31st in the league right now. It's 164 yards per game.
Hello.
So again, you can keep Josh Allen off the field and the offense off the field if you run the ball and eat up the clock, which is going to be an issue that's going to be difficult for them to solve. The problem with the Eagles is Saquon Barkley's average
is half of last year, basically.
Yeah, it's 3.1 versus, what was he, 5.9? Yeah, it's so as much as I say follow the formula, the formula is not the same as it was last year with Barkley's production being what it is. And it is a strange thing to look at what they've done and the fact that they're undefeated. And I do think the problems they're having with A.J. Brown, this is going to get worse the first time they lose. The first time they lose, it's going to go from a small leak to a real
I think the A.J. Brown thing would have been at a 9 out of 10 intensity if Jordan Davis doesn't block the Rams kick. I think that game where they showed they could move the ball in the second half but didn't even try in the first half throwing the ball, if that had cost them that game, you know what I mean, then I think, but because they won in such exciting fashion. So I'm going to give, I guess, a tricky answer, but I think you'll like it. I trust week to week Philadelphia more because I think that I believe winning is a skill. I believe in championship pedigree, and I think that they have not played very well, and they've played really tough teams and won. You know what I mean? That is, if Philly fans who heckle me everywhere I go, that's a compliment, that you're not playing your best ball and you're winning. And I know this sounds weird because the Chiefs always beat the Bills in the playoffs, and the Chiefs had lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year. The team that scares me more is Buffalo. Because
against the Chiefs?
Yes, because I believe the only team in the league that if Mahomes plays his A-level game, their guy can match it is the Bills. And so, like, I understand the Eagles have forced Mahomes out of well,
yeah, Mahomes hadn't. Well,
yeah,
the Super Bowl that the Chiefs won,
and so the Eagles have forced Mahomes into bad games. You know what I mean? Bad game in the Super Bowl, and this last game, the Chiefs' offense wasn't great. But as much as, you know, I look back on, honestly, the 13-second game as they were good enough. You know what I mean? And Mahomes was unreal. And I think Josh is better than he was 4 years ago. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Than he was in that game. So, like, that's the Bills, to me, ceiling. No matter how good your team is all around, the teams that have the super-duper star quarterbacks, to me, in the modern NFL, their ceiling is a touch higher for when that, you know what I mean, when they're firing on all cylinders, especially because I don't think Philly has the dominant defense and the dominant running game it had last year. But I think the Bills could have lost to the Saints. They maybe should have lost to the Dolphins. Like, the Bills screw around. They're a little fortunate to be
doorstep of destiny, you're saying,
Doorstep
basically.
of destiny.
I wouldn't call it destiny.
They are.
I do think the Patriots can win. I just don't think that's destiny.
Mounjaro for adults with type 2 diabetes.